My girlfriend thought it'd be funny to post a TikTok calling me her practice husband, and she did it while I was flipping burgers at our family barbecue. One of her friends flooded the comments section with stuff like, "He's giving test run vibes, father," and I didn't say a word. I didn't even touch my plate. Quietly, I set the ring box, the one I'd been hiding in my pocket for later that night, down on the table, got in my car, and drove off without looking back. 3 weeks passed before her sister texted me saying Brielle breaks down in tears whenever someone so much as mentions my name and that she's begging me to come back. I'm a 32-year-old guy, and I'd been in a relationship with Brielle, who's 29, for 3 years. From where I stood, things between us felt solid. We hardly argued, we enjoyed a lot of the same stuff, and we agreed on most of the big things in life. We talked seriously about getting married and starting a family, and I was under the impression we saw eye to eye on all of it. I cared about her family genuinely, and I honestly believed they felt the same about me. Her younger sister Chloe, who's 27, was probably the one I was closest to. We got along great, shared the same sarcastic sense of humor, and she joked now and then that I was the brother she never got. Brielle and I had been living together for nearly 2 years in the house I bought right before we met. That place didn't come easy. I'd spent years working overtime and skipping vacations to save up. I wanted to build equity, not throw money into rent every month. It was a modest little 3-bedroom ranch out in the suburbs, nothing flashy, but I was proud of it. I put everything I had into turning that house into a home we could build our future in. I work as a civil engineer, which means I'm one of those guys who plans out every little detail and tends to be overly practical. Brielle, on the other hand, works in social media marketing. She runs accounts for small local businesses. She's creative, impulsive, and way more tuned into appearances than I've ever been. She's always had a pretty solid following on Instagram and TikTok, posting lifestyle stuff and couple content. I never really paid much attention to it. That was her thing, and I was okay staying out of the spotlight. Our relationship wasn't flawless, no relationship is, but I truly believed we were strong. Stable. I'd been quietly planning a proposal for months. I saved up for a ring that cost me 3 months of pay, and I was just holding out for the perfect moment. I decided that the family barbecue at my parents' place would be ideal, both our families together, warm atmosphere, good memories. It felt right. It was a stunning Saturday in June. The backyard was lit up with string lights, the weather couldn't have been better, and we had about 30 friends and family gathered for our yearly summer tradition. Like always, I was on grill duty, flipping burgers, searing steaks, making sure everyone was fed. Every so often, I'd feel the small box in my pocket, double-checking it was still there. I kept rehearsing how I'd get down on one knee and what I'd say. Brielle was floating between conversations, laughing with people, full of energy. She looked happy, and that made me happy. I noticed she was on her phone a lot, but that wasn't anything out of the ordinary. She was always posting or replying to comments, so I didn't give it a second thought. My cousin Logan wandered over to the grill, grabbed a beer from the cooler, and stood next to me for a bit. "Hey man," he said, sounding a little uneasy. "Have you seen Brielle's latest TikTok?" I raised an eyebrow. "No, why?" He hesitated for a second, then said, "Might want to check it." At first, I brushed it off. I was more focused on keeping the burgers from burning. But the way he said it didn't sit right with me. About 15 minutes later, I passed the tongs to my dad, stepped away from the grill, and pulled out my phone. I didn't use TikTok much, but I had the app to occasionally keep up with what Brielle was posting. I opened it up and went straight to her profile. There it was, a fresh video posted about 45 minutes earlier, already racking up hundreds of comments. In the video, Brielle was with her friends, dancing along to some trend I didn't recognize. But it was the caption that knocked the wind out of me. "Girls' day out while my practice husband mans the grill," followed by hashtags like #relationshiptest, #practicearound, and #firstmarriage. I stood there frozen, reading through the comments with a growing knot in my stomach. People were going in on me. "He's giving test run vibes, FR, first husband syndrome, girl, you better upgrade for husband number 2, and at least you're being honest." The same friends who were in the video were now fueling the fire in the comments. "The starter husband doesn't even realize it, training wheels before the real thing, imagine thinking you're the endgame when you're just the tutorial," and of course, a skull emoji to top it off. My hands were trembling so bad I could barely scroll. I lifted my eyes and searched the yard until I spotted Brielle. She was sitting with the same 2 friends from the video, all of them huddled around her phone, laughing like nothing happened. She had no idea I'd seen it. No clue what just hit me. Right then and there, the picture I had in my head of our relationship shattered. 3 years' worth of moments came rushing back, now suddenly stained with doubt. Was I really just some placeholder for her? A warm-up round until someone better came along? I looked around at our families, everyone mingling, laughing, having a great time, and I felt completely alone in it. My mom was showing Brielle's mom some photos from our recent trip, smiling like everything was picture perfect. Meanwhile, my dad and her dad were going back and forth in a friendly debate about baseball, nothing serious, just their usual banter. To everyone around us, we looked like the dream couple on the verge of getting engaged. Well, everyone but Brielle, apparently. I slipped my hand into my pocket and felt the velvet ring box, the same one I'd been carrying around for weeks, waiting for the right time. I'd spent months searching for the perfect diamond, had it set in a custom design, the exact one Brielle once casually pointed out in a magazine, saying it was her dream ring. I'd planned the whole moment out, proposing right at sunset, surrounded by both of our families, with a heartfelt speech about building a future together. Looking back, the whole thing feels like a cruel joke. I set down the tongs, wiped my hands on a towel, and placed the ring box on a little side table by the grill. Without saying a word to anyone, not even a goodbye, I walked straight to my car, got in, and drove off. About 10 minutes later, my phone started blowing up with calls and messages, but I just turned it off. I needed space, time to think things through. That night, I checked into a hotel. I couldn't bring myself to go back to my house, knowing there was a chance she might be there. The next morning, I powered my phone back on and saw 27 missed calls along with a flood of texts. Most of them were from Brielle. They ranged from confusion to frustration. Where did you go? Why'd you just leave without saying anything? Please call me, I'm worried about you. Then it shifted. Seriously? You're this upset over a dumb TikTok? It was a joke. You're being dramatic. Everyone's asking where you went. You're embarrassing me. That last part hit differently. I was embarrassing her. There were also some messages from my parents, a few close friends checking in, making sure I was all right. And then there was one from Chloe, Brielle's sister. I saw the video. I'm really sorry, Ethan. That was cruel. You didn't deserve that. Let me know if you need anything. The only replies I sent were to my parents and Chloe, just letting them know I was safe, but I needed some time alone. To Brielle, I sent one message. I'll be by tomorrow at 2 to grab some of my stuff. Please make sure you're not home. She responded almost immediately. Are you serious right now? You're actually moving out over a joke? Ethan, you're completely blowing this out of proportion. We need to talk face to face. You can't just throw away 3 years over something this stupid. I didn't reply. What was the point? That one post had shown me exactly what I needed to know, what she really thought of me. Or maybe it wasn't even a mistake. Maybe she wanted me to see it. The next day, I showed up at the house while she was at work. I packed a week's worth of clothes, my laptop, and a few important documents. As I was walking out, I noticed a framed photo from our trip to Maine the year before. We looked so in love in that picture. So happy. I set it face down on the table and left without another glance. I extended my hotel stay and started searching for a short-term rental. I needed time and space to figure out my next steps. My boss was surprisingly supportive when I asked for a week off. I spent most of that time driving through quiet backroads, hiking around nearby state parks, trying to untangle the mess in my head. Brielle kept lighting up my phone, her messages bouncing between frustration and desperation. You're being ridiculous. Can we please just talk about this? I miss you. I can't believe you're really doing this to me. It was just a joke. Why are you punishing me like this? After a few days of silence, Chloe reached out again. Hey, I know you probably don't want to hear about Brielle right now, but I thought you should know she's telling everyone you're just throwing a tantrum and that you'll be back soon. She's not taking any of this seriously. Just figured you'd want a heads up. That message was the final straw. I called a real estate attorney the same day and scheduled a meeting to go over my legal options. Since the house was in my name and we were never married, I had every right to ask her to move out. The attorney drafted up a formal 30-day notice for her to vacate the property exactly as the law required. And I made up my mind I was going to deliver it myself. I needed her to understand that this wasn't some emotional meltdown. This was me taking my life back. When I pulled into the driveway, I noticed her car parked out front and another one I didn't recognize. I walked up to my own front door, but for the first time, it felt like I didn't belong there. Brielle answered a few moments later. Her face lit up with relief the second she saw me. Ethan. Finally. I was getting worried. She stepped forward like she was about to hug me, but I took a step back and held out the envelope. She looked confused. What's this? A notice to vacate the premises within 30 days, I said flatly. Her expression fell like a stone. You're not serious. I've never been more serious. Over a stupid TikTok, she snapped. You're seriously throwing away everything we've built over a joke? I let out a short laugh, but there wasn't a drop of humor in it. A joke? That's what you're calling it? Because to me, it felt more like a window into how you actually see me. Practice husband. Test run. Were you ever going to tell me that's what I was to you, or were you planning to let me find out after the divorce? Ethan, come on. It was just content for my followers. It didn't mean anything. Then why say it? I asked. Why put me on blast like that in front of everyone we know? If it meant nothing, why humiliate me? Before she could come up with a response, one of her friends from the video appeared behind her. The girl looked back and forth between us, clearly sensing the tension. Should I go? She asked Brielle awkwardly. No, it's fine. Let her stay, I said, keeping my voice calm. I'm just dropping this off. I'll have movers come next week to pack up the rest of my things. If anything's jointly owned, we'll sort it out through my attorney. That's when Brielle's face shifted. The shock turned to anger. A lawyer? You're actually getting a lawyer? Are you serious right now? I'm done talking, I said firmly. You've got 30 days. I turned to head out, but she grabbed my arm. Ethan, wait. Her voice cracked. It was a stupid mistake. I wasn't thinking. Please, can we just talk this through? I gently pulled her hand off my arm. There's nothing left to talk about. You showed me exactly who you are, Brielle. And I believe you. She blurted it out, the thing she'd clearly been holding in. What about the ring? My mom told me she saw a ring box near the grill. Were you going to propose? There was pain in her voice, and for a second it almost broke me. Almost? Yeah, I said, barely above a whisper. I was. Then I gave a half shrug. Funny how life plays out, huh? She called my name as I walked off, her voice shaky and raw, but I didn't turn around. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but I kept walking. The next day, I found a month-to-month furnished apartment about 20 minutes from my office and moved in. I hired movers to go back to the house and pack up most of my stuff. I left behind the furniture and kitchen basics she'd need until she figured out her own living situation. Word spread fast, way faster than I expected. My phone blew up with texts and DMs from mutual friends, most of them siding with her. Don't you think you're overreacting? Everyone says dumb stuff online, it was just a joke. She's devastated. She didn't mean it like that. A few people, though, actually got it. I saw the video before it got deleted. That was messed up. You deserve someone who respects you. If she said that in public, imagine what she says behind closed doors. My parents, thankfully, were rock solid. My mom came by to help me settle into the new place. She brought some home-cooked meals and tried not to cry whenever she thought I wasn't watching. My dad, who's always been a man of few words, just gave me a firm pat on the shoulder and said, "You did the right thing, son. Don't second-guess it." Brielle's family was mixed. Her parents reached out, shocked, disappointed, though it wasn't exactly clear who they were more disappointed in, her or me. Her brother, who I never really clicked with anyway, sent a cold message telling me I should have handled it like an adult instead of storming off. Chloe, though, she never stopped being in my corner. She kept me in the loop, texting updates now and then. Brielle finally moved most of her stuff to a friend's place. Mom and Dad had a serious talk with her about respect and relationships. She deleted all her social media after the backlash. Apparently, after I left that barbecue, someone, I'm guessing my cousin Logan, dropped a comment on her TikTok that said something like, "You know he was going to propose tonight, right?" That one comment caught fire. It went viral. All of a sudden, Brielle found herself on the receiving end of internet rage. She deleted the video within hours, but it was too late. Screenshots had already spread. I didn't feel any joy watching her get dragged online. Truth is, I loved her. Deeply. And despite everything, a part of me still cared. But I wasn't about to be her practice husband. 2 weeks after I moved out, I was finally starting to find some kind of balance again. I poured myself into work, picked up some old hobbies I'd let go of, and even joined a rock climbing gym just to burn off the excess tension. I wasn't ready to date again, not even close, but I was slowly piecing myself back together. Then Chloe texted me. She cries whenever anyone says your name. She keeps begging you to come back. I'm worried about her, Ethan. She's barely eating. Not sleeping. Says she didn't mean any of it. Says she'd do anything to fix it. And for the first time since I left, my resolve wavered. Because I still loved her. Even after all this. Knowing she was struggling tore at me. But then I thought back to that video. The way her friends laughed. The things they said. The way she just sat there and let it happen. The way she humiliated me in front of everyone we knew. If I went back now, what would that say about how I value myself? So I texted Chloe back. I'm sorry she's hurting. I really am. But I'm hurting too. And I can't be with someone who sees me as temporary. Chloe replied a little while later. I understand. For what it's worth, I think she really is sorry. She told me her friends pressured her to post something relatable, doubts, relationship struggles because the kind of content gets more engagement. Not that it excuses anything. Just thought you should know. That made me even angrier, not at Chloe, but at the whole situation. She traded our relationship for internet points. For likes. For clout. I didn't say any of that. Just thanked Chloe for the update and let it be. The next day, a small package arrived at my apartment. Inside was the ring box I'd left behind at the barbecue and a handwritten letter from Brielle. At first, I almost tossed it out without opening it. But curiosity got the better of me. The letter was tear-stained, folded neatly, and several pages long. She wrote in the letter that her friends had been pushing her to create real content, stuff about relationship struggles, things people could relate to. She said she'd been feeling insecure lately watching all her friends get engaged or married and that the TikTok was just her way of trying to look chill and detached, like it didn't matter to her. But none of it was true, she said. She swore it. According to her, I was never just a placeholder. She claimed she wanted to marry me more than anything and that she destroyed the best thing in her life chasing internet attention that didn't even matter. Honestly, it was a well-written letter. Thoughtful. Honest. Emotional. If it had shown up a week earlier, maybe I would have been moved. Maybe it would have changed something. But as I read through it, something didn't sit right. The whole thing centered around her, her feelings, her pain, her guilt. There was barely a word about how deeply she'd hurt me. I folded the pages neatly, tucked them into a drawer, and tried to put it out of my mind. 3 days later, around 8 p.m., my doorbell rang. I wasn't expecting anyone. When I opened the door, there she was, Brielle, eyes puffy from crying, holding a small gift bag in her hand. "Please don't shut the door," she said quickly. "I just need 5 minutes. After that, I'll leave and never bother you again if that's what you want." Against all logic, against everything in me that said don't, I let her in. She looked rough, her hair hadn't been washed, she was in sweats, dark circles under her eyes. And despite all the anger and pain, seeing her like that made my heart hurt. "What do you want, Brielle?" She handed me the gift bag. "I wanted to give you this. And say I'm sorry. In person." Inside the bag was a framed collage of pictures of us, vacations, birthdays, quiet nights in, mixed with screenshots showing that she had permanently deleted all her social media accounts. "I'm done," she said softly. "With all of it. Posting, performing, trying to please strangers online. I'm done." She broke down crying again, and I had to physically stop myself from reaching out. "What I said that day, it was inexcusable," she choked. "I can't even justify it. It was thoughtless and cruel. But Ethan, you were never practice. You're the only person I've ever loved like that. The only one I saw a future with." She wiped her face and took a breath. "I'm not asking you to take me back. I know I don't deserve that. I just needed you to hear me say this. I will regret what I did for the rest of my life. And I need you to know you were always enough. More than enough." She turned to leave but stopped at the door. "Oh, and I signed the house over to you. I know my name was never on the deed, but I had a lawyer draw up documents stating I won't make any claim. Ever. That house was your dream," she added, voice trembling. "I'd never take it from you." And just like that, she was gone. I stood there holding that collage, feeling more lost than ever. The choice was mine now, and I didn't know what to do with it. That night, I didn't sleep. I just lay there, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of our relationship, wondering if I'd missed something along the way. Had she always seen me as a stepping stone? Was that video a one-time mistake, or a glimpse into what she truly thought of me? I ended up calling the one person I knew would give it to me straight, my sister, Jenna. I laid out everything that had happened, from the barbecue to the letter to the visit. When I finished, I asked, "What do I do?" Jenna didn't hesitate. "Do you still love her?" I was quiet for a second. "Yeah," I admitted. "I do. But I don't know if I can ever trust her again." Jenna paused. "Trust can be rebuilt," she said slowly. "But only if both people are willing to work for it. The real question is, do you want to try?" I didn't have an answer. The next morning, I got a text from Chloe. "Brielle just accepted a job offer in Seattle. She's moving next month. Says she can't stay here with all the memories. Thought you should know. Seattle. The other side of the country." And just like that, it hit me. This wasn't just a break. This was the end. I wasn't ready for it. Not completely. I went through the next few days like I was sleepwalking, working, eating, going home to silence. I'd stare at the collage every night, trying to imagine life without her. Then came Friday night. I got in my car and drove to the little Italian place where we had our first date. I sat at our old table, ordered the wine we always used to share, and tried to picture a future that didn't include her. As I was leaving, I ran into her old boss, Sandra. She smiled and greeted me warmly, but her face shifted into confusion. I thought you'd be home celebrating with Brielle, she said. Celebrating what? I asked. Her promotion, Sandra replied. We finally gave her that senior position she's been after, more pay, full creative control. She's been working toward it for months. My stomach dropped. When did she get it? I asked, trying to stay calm. Sandra thought for a second. It was finalized about a month ago, but honestly, she's known it was coming since early spring. She never mentioned it to you? No. She hadn't. That meant she knew about the promotion well before the barbecue. Before the TikTok. Before everything blew up. I left the restaurant as fast as I could, my thoughts racing. The pieces started clicking into place during the drive. If she got the promotion, she wasn't moving to Seattle. That job kept her here, which meant she lied to Chloe, knowing she'd pass the information along to me. She played the Seattle card to make me feel urgency. To get me to act. It was manipulation, plain and simple. When I got back to my apartment, I grabbed a friend's phone and looked up her Instagram. Her accounts hadn't been deleted at all. Just set to private. The screenshots she gave me? Fake. Just another lie in a long string of them. But instead of feeling angry, I felt calm. Almost peaceful. All that confusion, the back and forth, the second-guessing, it just disappeared. I finally knew what I had to do. The next morning, I called Chloe and asked if we could meet up for coffee. She showed up looking nervous, barely able to meet my eyes. I didn't waste time. Did you know? I asked, no small talk, no build-up. She glanced down at her hands. No what? That Brielle isn't moving to Seattle. That her social media is still active. That this whole heartbreak act she's been putting on is just that, an act. Chloe's face fell. I'm sorry, Ethan. I really am. She's my sister. She begged me to help her. Said she'd made a huge mistake and just needed a shot to explain. I didn't know about the fake screenshots or the Seattle lie until later. I swear. But I wasn't mad anymore. Just tired. So why tell me now? I asked. Why not just keep helping her play the part? She looked up finally and said, because you deserve the truth. And I realized that by helping her manipulate you, I wasn't being much better than she was. I nodded, thanked her for her honesty, and left. On the drive home, I made a single call to Brielle. I know about the promotion. I know about the fake accounts. I know about Seattle, I said. Don't ever contact me again. Then I blocked her number before she could say a word. That same afternoon, I hired a contractor to start work on my house. Fresh paint. New flooring. A full kitchen remodel, especially the part Brielle always complained about. I cleared out every piece of her physically and emotionally from my space. The engagement ring? I returned it. Got about 80% of what I'd paid, which was enough to cover most of something I'd always wanted to do, a solo trip across Europe. 3 weeks. I hiked the Alps. Ate my way through Italy. Wandered cities I'd only seen in guidebooks. And most importantly, I remembered who I was outside of that relationship. When I got back, sunburned and more at peace than I'd felt in ages, there was one last letter from Brielle waiting in my mailbox. This one wasn't tearful or apologetic. It was bitter. Blaming. She called me cold, said I humiliated her by leaving the barbecue, said I clearly never loved her if I could walk away that easily. Said she was better off without me and my fragile male ego. I read it with a kind of relief because there it was. Her unfiltered truth. Not dressed up. Not hidden behind regret or tears. Just raw, defensive, and mean. And that made it easier. I shredded the letter, tossed it in the trash, and went on with my life. It's been nearly a year since that barbecue. I'm still in my house, now completely redone, the way I like it. I've been promoted at work, made some new friends, started getting back into hobbies I forgot I enjoyed. I've even dipped a toe into dating again, nothing serious yet, but I'm open. Brielle moved out of town eventually. Not to Seattle, turns out she went to Chicago. Chloe and I still talk occasionally, and she told me Brielle is dating someone new now. A guy with a big social media following. Apparently, he shows up in her posts a lot. She looks happy. And I genuinely hope she is. As for me, I've learned something I wish I'd known sooner: don't fall in love with potential. Fall in love with who someone really is. I ignored the red flags because I was in love. Because I had a vision. Because I thought I knew the future. Turns out the future had other plans. And yeah, the breakup was brutal. But a bad breakup is still better than a worse marriage. I found out the truth before I put a ring on her finger. Before there were kids. Before lawyers and custody and alimony. The pain I went through doesn't even come close to what that kind of future could have been. Last week, I was cleaning out my office and found the gift bag Brielle had left behind. The one with the photo collage. I'd stuffed it into a drawer and forgotten all about it. I looked at our smiling faces, snapshots of a relationship I once thought was unshakable, and for the first time, I didn't feel sad or angry. I just felt grateful. Not for the love, but for the ending. I threw the collage in the trash and stepped outside into my newly landscaped backyard. The grill was fired up, the air was warm, and I had a cold beer in my hand. I stood there, calm, content, and ready for whatever comes next. Edit. Wow, didn't expect this to blow up overnight. Appreciate all the kind words. To answer a few common questions. Yes, I kept the house. It was always in my name. Brielle moved out without a fight. No, I haven't spoken to her since that final call. Total no contact has been the healthiest choice I could have made. The ring? It was a 1.5-carat oval diamond in a vintage-style setting. Got about 80% of the money back, and that covered most of the Europe trip. Am I still friends with Chloe? We keep in touch, grab coffee now and then, but we've drifted naturally. No hard feelings. And no, I'm not looking to date anyone from the comments. But hey, I appreciate the offers.